Well, good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery, and Happy New Year. Today is Tuesday, January 2nd, 2024. And as we have done for several years now, we get together with our distribution partners most weekday mornings to talk about strategies, tips, techniques, and share success stories. As we enter into a new year, it's a great time to reflect on how did the prior year go? How did 2023 result in terms of the number of clients that you helped and the amount of income that you generated? And then secondly, what can we do different or do better or improve upon in the year ahead? We wanted to share with each of you this morning, and I did email you in advance, what our focus is for the calendar year 2024 and invite you to participate in this campaign. So this doesn't change the ChapmanLoanProgram.org website and our focus on helping create fundable businesses. That's still our goal and our program, our resource, if you will. But today we're going to talk about how to generate leads, because without leads, you have no clients, and without clients, you don't make money. So we need to make sure that we have a good system of generating leads. Some of you already have a good system and you may want to continue what you've done, but others, it's almost like some of you are trying to sell Apple Watches in the desert. Well, might you sell one? Yeah, it's possible, but it doesn't seem like you're going where your prospects are. And the most basic concept, I think, of business development is you want to go where your prospects are. We talked in December last month about going to B&I meetings, Business Networking International. We fully advocate for that in addition to what we're talking about today with affinity programs, because you're going where your prospects are. You're also with B&I going where your prospective referral partners are. But with that being said, let's talk about affinity programs. So if all's going well, I'm sharing my screen here. Now, this is not our website. We don't have any relationship with this website, but I think it's a good one in terms of describing from another person's perspective, what is an affinity program? Because this is specifically what we're advocating for each of you to build either your entire campaign or at least partial campaign for 2024 around. So let's scroll down and talk about, let's read a little bit and we'll discuss it. So now this is marketing towards the associations themselves, not to us. But if you're a trucking association or a cosmetology association, so forth, they're talking about how to use affinity programs, which is our topic, to help their members and generate new income. So in other words, it substantiates what we're talking about. So what is an affinity program? An affinity program, according to the American Chamber of Commerce Executives, is a program. It's a type of a business partnership. So it typically will offer some sort of special rate or type of service to the association's members. So to tie this together, what we're advocating that you do is to reach out to organizations. I'll give you examples, very specific examples, but organizations and entities, and let them know about your involvement in the startup business program. We would then offer a special rate, which it's talking about here. So in other words, we'd offer a discount, normally a 10% discount to their membership. So it's creating value that they're bringing to their membership. And then also, then we would do a revenue share with that sponsoring organization. So let's say of the startup program, it's $5,000. The grant covers half, which is $2,500. Normally, the participant would pay the other half, $2,500. But what if we gave a 10% discount to the members of the Affinity Partners group, so they save $250? And what if we gave $250 back to the host organization? So then we would net 1,000 and you would net 1,000. So it's coming out of both of our pockets. It's reducing our upfront income, but it should be increasing our volume considerably. So affinity partners have been around. Often they're like getting discounts on hotels or discounts on Hertz rental cars or discount on Office Depot office supplies. But what we can certainly do if we find the right type of organizations, which we're going to talk about, we could take an affinity approach in offering the startup program. Now, so who would we want to go to with an affinity proposition? Well, one of the examples we've talked about are like truck driving schools. Truck driving schools, and I'll give you other examples and show you other examples, but truck driving schools are a perfect fit. Truck driving schools already have students that are learning to get their CDL training so they can go out and drive a truck. Well, what happens when those students complete their training? They need money to go buy a truck and have working capital for insurance and taxes and fuel and so forth. So what would happen if you were to have a relationship, an affinity relationship with Roadmaster Driver School, for example? So you would actually go in during while those students are being trained to drive a truck, and they would set aside, meaning Roadmaster Driver School would set aside an hour for you to teach these individuals the 10 mistakes. So now you have their attention. You didn't have to go find butts in the seats because Roadmaster Driver School made it part of the curriculum. So now you're teaching their current students, future truck drivers, the 10 mistakes, because in the back of their mind, they're thinking, man, I want to get through this educational curriculum and I want to go buy my own truck, but I don't know how. I don't have the money. I don't have the resources. I don't have the knowledge. So if you were to go to Roadmaster Driver School, for example, not only do they have locations in a bunch of different states, so can you imagine going and teaching the students in Fontana, California, and then going to the students in Phoenix? I mean, what do we have here? Approximately 20 locations. Well, if we think about that, their driving school is only a few weeks long, so they're always cycling through new students. Let's just say that the average curriculum is 12 weeks long, 3 months. So 4 times a year you'd be needed in Bethlehem. 4 times a year you'd be needed in Dunn. So if you have about 20 of these locations and you need to go meet their students, teach 4 times a year, that's 80 workshops right there. So when we think about where are we going to go teach the 10 mistake curriculum, we want to go fishing where the fish are. We want to hook our hose to a running faucet. Well, this is an example of a running faucet. Now, in addition to the current students that are in the curriculum that are coming to class, they also have graduates, right? People that have already graduated. Remember, we're doing a revenue share with Roadmaster using the affinity model. So each of those truck drivers that if they were to introduce to you for the startup program, the Roadmaster Driver School would make $250 up front. We also might want to do a share of the performance fee, the back end. What's my point? In addition to the current students that are coming to class, they have hundreds, they have thousands of graduates that they could make aware of your resource, our resource, and that is an even bigger target market. So the concept in 2024 is let's work together and develop affinity relationships whereby you're using the startup program, the Chapman program as we call it, to develop relationships. And so from that, we're going to offer a special rate. We're going to offer a discount to, for example, the Roadmaster Driver School students. These people here, we each save $250. And then we're also going to send $250 back to the Roadmaster Driver School. So you'll net $1,000 on the front end. We'll net $1,000. Then we'll help them we'll help these students fit after they finish their 12-week curriculum. Then we'll get them funding for the truck and money for the fuel and for taxes. And you'll be paid a performance fee, which you determine what that performance fee is. And then we'll share some of that performance fee back with Roadmaster School. Anyone have questions? I'm going to go through other examples, but I'm going to pause. Who has questions, comments, concerns on this? We'll go ahead and type those into the Q&A box. It's kind of like a chat box. So we've got a big group, which I'm thankful for. So Bernard, does that make sense? Going to truck driving schools, teaching the 10-mistake curriculum to their current students, doing a revenue share with them through an affinity program, and also getting exposure to their graduates. So now we're getting warm referrals. We're not going after a cold market. Thank you, Bernard. Bobby, does this make sense to you? Candace, does this make sense to you? Because if not, it's okay. It's my fault, not yours, but we need to dig deeper. So we're taking the startup program. We're going out to key influencers, what we're going to call affinity partners. And we're focused really on VOTEC type of partners, like truck driving schools. If I can spit it out, we're going to look at other examples. Teaching the curriculum to those that are currently in the training with them, and then also getting exposure to their graduates. So, Cecile, does that make sense? Charles, David. Oh, David just responded. Dulcie, Eric, other Eric, Felicia, Iantha, James, Jeanette, John, Justin, Katia, Lon, Madison, Pauline, got multiple Paulines, Fu, Original, Sonia, Sally, Terrence, Todd. I'm looking for feedback. For 2024, let's focus on a strategy. I don't think that you're going to make a lot of money and helping a lot of people by happenstance. I think we need a plan. And what I'm proposing to you is that we create a plan together to develop affinity relationships with targeted, what I'm going to call VOTEC schools. I'm going to show you other examples. All right, so let's move past truck driving schools, which is one example. How about beauty schools? Here, we'll take a little bit of a different approach. So I did just a search for beauty, cosmetology, and beauty schools. So it's analogous to truck driving schools. So in Texas, where we are, here are a list of the cosmetology schools that we could go to and make the same pitch, right? Set up an affinity relationship with them, teach the 10 mistakes to their current students before they graduate, and work with them to reach out to their graduates. So it doesn't seem to give us a number here, but we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 20. To show more schools. We're still in A's. My God, we're now in the B's. Well, this is how many of these schools are in Texas. You know, I don't know. It's over 100. I don't know how many. And there's other states, right? We're in Texas. I know we're looking for a state director in Georgia, for example. So let's click on Georgia. And there's just a nearly infinite number, right? So beauty schools would work the same way. We approach the 5D Beauty Academy and we approach them and let them know that we want to be a resource. We want to provide free financial literacy, a 1-hour course called the 10 Mistakes. So as their graduates from the 5D Beauty Academy are getting ready to go out into the workplace, that they know what not to do to keep from not being able to get funded, the 10 mistakes, and let them know about a grant resource that could assist them in getting the funding so they can start their own beauty shops, their own cosmetology shops. So they're not only just thinking about getting a job, but now they literally have the funding and the resources to start their own shop. Now, not all of these graduates want to go out and start their own. They might be happy to work for someone else. But what we want from 5D and what we want from Roadmaster Driver School is just an hour to teach this curriculum. When we were putting this model together, we actually started approaching chiropractic colleges, which isn't one that I have focused here. And so I know Parker Chiropractic College actually allowed us to go in, and it was a Saturday morning, and we actually taught the doctors in training about the topic matter. So it's great. So it can work with truck driving, it can work with cosmetology and beauty schools. There's all kinds of, there's notary schools, so we can look up here, and there's the Notary Association of America. So again, I call these VOTEC type of careers. They're not traditional college numbers where, I'm sorry, not traditional college programs. These are specific training curriculums. So they're usually short in duration. And what we can do is plug in, develop an affinity relationship with them. So we've talked about truck driving schools, we've talked about cosmetology, notary. I don't know why I have that on there twice, but notaries. Have it on there 3 times for some reason. I don't know why. Massage schools would be another. What if we were to reach out to massage schools? Same concept. And I guess we can find a massage school here. So these students are going through 500 in-class hours. Well, frankly, what we're proposing to each massage school is let's make it 501 hours, right? Let's add 1 hour, but let's teach these folks how to be successful entrepreneurs after they graduate. And we can look up schools. So for in Georgia, for example, according to this resource, there are 10 massage schools. We can type in, Eric was looking at doing California. So let's look up California, 36. So we'll help you with this. But here's how we're planning on implementing this. So let's kind of put the rubber to the road. So what we want to do is have one state director per state. So that state director is going to focus on developing affinity programs in their state. In fact, they would have geographic exclusivity, because what we don't want 16 people calling Roadmaster, right? That's going to annoy Roadmaster, and we're going to probably lose the relationship. So we need a director of each state. So in essence, we're looking for 50 directors, state directors. Each state director we would work with, we would create a list of targeted organizations, whether they be truck driving schools, beauty schools, notary schools, massage therapy. Based upon our early research, there's going to be certainly over 100, but probably hundreds of prospective affinity partners in just about every state. Now, some states are smaller. There's going to be less in South Dakota than there is in Georgia. There's going to be less in Rhode Island than there is in Arizona. But the concept is we'd like to ask you all, would you be willing to be a state director? Now, the state director role falls under the branch. So if you're a branch office, then you'd be eligible to be a state director. It's just we want people that we're working with that are out developing and managing these relationships. This is a big deal, right? We want to generate at least $100,000 a month for your branch if you're a state director. Now, certainly you could make that much without being a state director, without following this model. But this is really important. This is strategic, right? So we need to work with individuals that are committed and focused. So if you're interested in being a state director, working with us to work with massage therapy schools in your state, we can look up Illinois, for example, if I spell it right. 29. Joey was asking how many massage schools were in Illinois. He's interested in being a state director, but that's where we're at. So here we are, not the first day of January, but the first work day. And we're letting you know we're very transparent. So here's what we're going to focus on in 2024 is developing hundreds, if not thousands, of affinity relationships. That doesn't stop what we've been doing. You can obviously work with individuals and do the things that you're doing. You can go to B&I. That's fine. Nothing changes. But we are looking for a director, a state director of each state. The state director would be responsible for developing and managing these affinity relationships. We would have weekly calls with each of our state directors. And then also we're going to create a subgroup whereby the state directors are interfacing with each other, because each person's going to have exclusivity for their state. So there's not a sense of competition. So let's take Eric. If Eric is the state director for Arizona, Eric's not going to be so worried about talking to David, who maybe is hypothetically the state director of Texas, because we're all working together towards the same goal, but we have geographic exclusivity. All right, so we got a question from Justin, and that's a good one. And it comes back to what we saw with Roadmaster. So his question is, okay, so Roadmaster has all of these locations. They're not just in one state, right? So what we need to do here is approach the corporate office to develop the affinity relationship, because chances are the satellite offices won't have that authority. So we would figure out where their corporate office is, which frankly, I don't know offhand, but we'll figure out where their corporate office is. And so wherever their corporate office is which state director would have Roadmaster, for example. Let's say it's in Dunn, North Carolina. Then you say, well, that doesn't make sense then, because we're going to need coverage in other states. Well, then the state director of North Carolina will know who the state director of Mississippi is and who the state director of Oklahoma is, and then they can do a split deal. So if it's an organization that has multiple locations, what we would do is focus on the corporate office. Wherever the corporate office, that would be the jurisdiction of the state director of that state. And then if they don't want to travel and work with the other locations, then they can work with the state directors where the other locations are. But frankly, a lot of these aren't like this. A lot more of them are more like the massage therapy schools, where they have just one location. All right, so who has questions, comments? And I did send out an email, and I said, if anyone's interested in being a state director, reply back. Let us know, and I can make sure that you have our information so we can get you set up. So ChapmanLoanProgram.org, of course, has our email. But that's what we're going to be doing on our end in 2024. If you're interested, email us and let us know which state that you'd want to be a state director. So this is a big commitment. It falls under your branch, so you're not buying something different to perform this role, but it's clearly a leadership role. All right, and then I see Lon has a question. So yes, we're starting as of today. If any of you refer in someone that becomes a branch office, then we'll pay you $250. So, for the branches, there's a $499.99 setup fee. Starting today, January 2nd, we'll split that with you. The reason why that's coming up now is that I think some of you are going to be wanting to develop your own informal network. Let's say let's go back to here. Let's say that you're John Lay, one of our directors. So John might say, hey, I want to control all of these states. So John could go out and find a branch develop a branch office in each of these. And if he has some sort of what we call JV relationship with them, where he's doing a 50-50 revenue split, but the point is we're only going to have, each state director will have just one state. But if you want to bring on other branches, that people that you know, that you trust, that you'd like to collaborate with, you can. That'll put $250 in your pocket. All right. Sarah's asking, how does that work? So let's go ahead and make sure we cover that. So if you have someone that you want to refer in to be a distribution partner, what do? You're going to have them complete this link here. So on chapmanloanprogram.org, the bottom link is the form, and I'll click on it. It pops up and it allows them to plug in. You and I know that there's a $499.99 setup fee. So if you're going to refer someone in to what we call the opportunity fund, the distribution partner, have them fill out the form. You would go ahead and collect the setup fee. You would keep half and send us the other half. And then if you wanted that person to be a state director, that's fine. So Samantha's asking, what's the cost to be a state director? There's not a cost to be a state director. It's essentially an addendum to the branch office agreement, but it's not a separate agreement. It's not a separate role. It's just essentially we're looking for a leader in each state that can help us develop and manage the relationships with affinity partners. So hopefully that makes sense. All right, so who else has any questions, comments, concerns on where we're going? So in 2024, we're going to focus on developing affinity relationships. If you want to be involved in a leadership capacity, you're welcome to do so. We would call that a state director. If you want to be a state director of any given state, then let us know, email us. We'll get that set up, and then you'll have exclusivity for the affinity relationships in that state. Now, we don't sell franchises or something, so it's not that there wouldn't be other branches in that state, and those other branches can develop clients and do normal things. But from the affinity model, we want to control that tightly, because again, the example I used is we don't want 16 people calling Roadmaster Drivers School. We want one person managing that relationship. All right, it looks like Trevor is asking, do you have to live in the state that you're the state director of? No. So you could live in Nevada and be the state director in Washington State if you wanted. You could live in Minnesota and be the state director of New York if you wanted. So that's fine. When we're doing the education with each of the affinity partners, you'll need to, we'll collectively work with them to determine, do they want in-person training for the 10 mistakes for their current students, or do they want Zoom? And so it's really whatever they want. But let's say that we get Roadmaster and they say, no, we want someone to come into Omaha and teach the 10 mistake 1 hour presentation to our truck driving students in Omaha, because the rest of their curriculum is in person. So if that's what the affinity partner wants, then we definitely need to have a state director in Nebraska to do so. Let's see. Yeah, Samantha's asking more about state director. So the state director, I did send an email out with more of the bulleted detail. I don't have that here in front of me to promote, but you can search Samantha and everyone else. You can go back and look at the email, and I sent the email out that broke down the state director role. Today, I more wanted to present on what we're going to be doing and reaching out to affinity relationships, and talked about different types of organizations that we could go to. All right, so with that, we'll wrap it up for today. So let's have a strong month, and of course, let's have a strong year. We had a great year in 2023, and we should be able to double that, triple that, or quadruple that this year. We want to make sure that every one of your branches is generating at least $100,000 a month. Not too good to be true, but it's based upon volume. If you decide to take a leadership role, the Affinity program provides you to literally hook your hose to a running faucet. there are already students that are going to truck driving schools. There are already students in cosmetology schools. There are already individuals going through notary training programs. There are already students going through massage therapy. So then you would have a relationship with them, so we can work with them when they graduate, when they complete their curriculum. Plus, then we'll be working with each of these organizations to reach out to their alumni. So this is a good plan, not the only plan, but a good plan to generate at least 100 clients a month. And that's what we want for our state directors. We'd love that for all of our branches, but we know some of you are dabblers. But we've got some really strong people that we needed to provide a better roadmap for financial success. So you take David, who's excellent. There's no reason that David couldn't generate probably 7 figures a month versus just 6 if he decided to become the state director of Texas. Take Samantha. Samantha is amazing. She's had some interest in Georgia. But as of right now, all states are open. There's no states spoken for because we introduced it over the holiday weekend, but we wanted to give everyone an opportunity at the same time to understand what we're doing, how it works, and then we're going to work with you very, very closely in developing and implementing these affinity relationships. All right, well, thanks everyone. So just simply let us know, preferably via email, which state, if you'd like to be a state director for, and we can take care of getting that set up. Our goal this week is to get most of the states covered. Not just these for the truck driving school, but this is just a nice illustration of a map. So thanks everyone. We'll see you back soon. Email us if you're interested in being a state director. We'll get it set up. Thanks. Bye.